started in 2001. I was waiting tables and going to college at the time. And late night infomercial, I saw Carlton Sheets no down payment system. So for those of you that have been in the business a while or maybe a little bit older may know that system. He was really big in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. He ended up passing away a few years ago, but he was really big on TV for a long time. April of 2001, I remember specifically. And within 5 months, September, basically 9/11, it was either right before or right after 9/11, I was when I bought my first 2 properties, bought them with no money down. So that's kind of how things started. And from then just, basically was doing the BRRRR method, before BRRRR was a thing. So buy, rehab, refinance, and repeat. So I partnered up with a friend. We'd use his money to buy the properties. We'd cash the money back out, and we'd take that money and buy another property and just continue to do that. So within about 2 years, had 10 properties, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity at 23 years old, and decided with 9 hours left to graduate that I did not want to do college anymore. I told myself I would go back, but I ended up not, and just was off, 3 years now in the business. I like to compare the first half of my journey in real estate and business to the second half because they're dramatically different. The first half was lots of learning lessons, lots of struggles, hiring the wrong people, getting screwed by contractors, employees, and a lot of that was my fault. Looking back, I was just attracting the wrong people, hiring the wrong people, trying to find the cheapest people that I could possibly find. So about 2010, for the second, it might even been the third time, I fired my whole staff within a 30-day period. A couple were stealing from me. The others were just not showing up and not doing their job. Just all kinds of different issues. And I kind of hit rock bottom at that time, kind of mentally. And if you looked at me on paper, it wasn't bad. I had lots of equity in properties. I was making decent money, but my mindset was just all over the place. I went from feeling like I was kind of going on an upward trajectory of, okay, I finally got some good people in place, and then realized they weren't good people. And so ended up reaching out to my sister, who pretty much ran the company she was working for before. And I said, hey, I know your style. I know how you do business. I know how, your personality. If I were to bring you on, do you think you could get me where I need to be? And so I gave her my goals. I'm like, here's what I'm wanting to do. And she looked me in the eye. I still remember vividly. We were at a restaurant. She's like, I'm 100% confident I can do that. A couple weeks later, I said, all right, I'm ready to roll. And so she gave her 2-week notice. And from then it hasn't been bliss by any means, but from then you could tell there's just a huge shift. Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10X TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years, and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show. I went from working harder to working a lot smarter. So she came in and she basically did the work of 3 to 4 of the people that I'd had hired before. I didn't have to worry about her as much. I knew she could get things done. I knew I could trust her, and she's still with me today. Come 2019, I built this team up again to about 15 employees, and things just kind of started getting rocky again. And I ended up having to let everybody go just because I was way overstaffed, kind of over leveraged, and went down to about maybe 3 employees at the time, and just kind of had to reset and got really lean. And then a couple 3 years later, we were like half the staff making a lot more money. And I tell those 2 stories because a lot of people have struggles, and when they're in them, it really sucks. And there's still some struggles that we have in certain parts of our business that aren't a lot of fun, but anytime, something always comes good out of it. When I fired my whole staff, I found my sister. When we had to downsize the whole business and things were kind of rocky, I ended up going through a tough time again, but then we reset and we refocused, and we're way leaner, and we're way more profitable now than we were back then. So 2012 was also kind of a pivotal time. I wanted to kind of automate my business and kind of get it where it didn't need me anymore, and my sister was a big help in that. And I was fortunate enough to go to a poker game one night, and this guy I noticed was on TV, and so I ended up sitting next to him. It was a friend's house that I was at, and I was like, hey man, Chad, this guy's name was Chad. I said, Chad, I see you on TV. How are the TV commercials doing for you? And I was expecting him to say what most people say or think. I was expecting him to say, we just do it for branding. We do other marketing that drives the business. It's pretty expensive. I expected him to not really talk great about TV and just, that it was expensive and it was a branding play. But it was the opposite. He's like, dude, we do $2 or $3 million a year just from TV commercials. And he's like, we are on a 6 to 9 month wait list. And that's all the marketing we do. He's like, we get calls out the wazoo. He's like, what it's done for our business is great. And just started, just talking great about it. So I was like, interesting. I was like, I wonder if it would be good for house flipping, because he was in a construction business. And so he gave me his media guy's number, Drew. And he's like, hey, Drew's the guy. He knows his stuff. You need to call him and you can talk to him about it. So I called Drew on Monday morning. I was like, Drew, I heard you're the TV guy. What's this all about? Chad and I were talking and, maybe it'd be good for my business. He said, all right, let me go to the stations. Give me about a week. I'm going to negotiate some rates for it. He's like, I think I know who you're going after. Give me a little bit of time and I'll come back to you. And if you like what I have to present to you, we can shoot the commercial. We can work on it together and go. And so about a week later, he calls me. He's like, hey, got some good news. He's like, I got some good rates. He's like, for $3,000 a month, I can get you, it was somewhere around 300 to 400 commercials a month. And, if you guys know much about marketing, $3,000 is a small direct mail campaign. It's, depending on where you are, it's a PPC budget or even a small portion of PPC budget. And so I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. So first month, I ended up spending $3,000. I made $35,000 my first month and off and running from there. So from then, it's been my best lead channel, anywhere from a 3 to 12 times return on investment. I noticed right off the bat, we got a lot of credibility from it. I noticed that it was a lot easier than other marketing channels, where once we set it up right, we didn't really have to touch it very much. And so I tell that story because that was part of the evolution of working smarter. So hiring better people, doing smarter marketing, and just a lot of systems and processes in place to, after about 2 years of TV commercials, I was able to, and not just because of TV, but all the other things I said, was able to step out of my business and move to San Diego, California, where I still live, while my business operates in Wichita, Kansas. So I still have that business in Wichita, and now I love talking and helping people with TV commercials because it's been a great lead source for me, and it's been something that we have tested over the years and gotten a lot of data from what I've done. And now that we have about 110 real estate investors running TV with us right now, we just have a ton of data knowing what works and what doesn't. So that's where I am today, is working in those two businesses.